Thompson, thank you for joining me today on Press Day.
Hello, is that Elias?
Yes, it is.
Hello, how are you?
Great, great. Exciting times, Press Day today. The show's amazing from what I've seen so far.
How much have you seen of it, Elias?
I've
Tell
watched the
me all things.
first two episodes, and I was talking earlier too. Like, I love these characters. These characters are so funny.
They are. Unfortunately, you haven't seen my character because she comes in episode 3 and then obviously becomes the most important person in the show. So unfortunately, you won't have seen her.
Right. So first of all, like when the viewers tune in to watch this, what are you hoping they get out of this series?
This show is beautifully cinematic, surprisingly so for a television comedy. It has very high production values. It has exceptional art direction, obviously a brilliant cast, and beautiful comedic scripts about a character who existed in Britain in the 18th century, but has now evolved into a character that can be played by someone like Noel Fielding with all of his deep wide panache.
So we see you in the series as Lady Helen. How did you connect with this character? How did you decide to bring her alive?
The character was pitched to me. The head of Big Talk Productions, who the production company who make the show, who I'd worked with before, phoned me up and he said, "Would you like to play a very powerful woman who bullies Hugh Bonneville?" And I didn't need to think twice. I said, "Absolutely." I was shown the pilot, which doesn't have Lady Gwinear in it because she's kept as a kind of lovely surprise that you meet halfway through the show. But I was blown away by the pilot and found myself laughing, and I never laugh, and it made me laugh. So I thought, oh, okay, this has got something. Yeah, I want to be a part of this.
Now, joining a cast like this and with all the characters, you get some lovable rogues in there. How do you stand out with this colorful group?
Well, Lady Helen stands out because she's the head of the crime syndicate. So she's a woman, which is unusual for a female to have to wield that much power, particularly in the 18th century. But she thinks she's most powerful, therefore she is. If she thinks she is, she is. And she treats everybody else as though they're lower than herself, which of course they are. And she's also very, very childish. She's a very powerful child and a child with a lot of money and who's also a narcissist,
Mm.
is very fertile ground.
You mentioned we see you starting episode 3. Is there a specific episode that you can't wait for the viewers to see, especially with your character?
I think the way that she's introduced, because the first encounter is opposite Hugh Bonneville, who is, you think, head of the pyramid, because he's the thief taker general, the one who's meant to be hunting Dick Turpin down and bringing him back to jail. But suddenly he's a little boy at the other end of the table with Lady Helen, who's head of the crime syndicate, and you realize that actually he's met his match and he's now squirming, and that's a very lovely scene.
You mentioned Noel also, he plays Dick. How is the collaboration between you two, especially when he's behind the scenes also as one of the executive producers?
I've always been a huge admirer of Noel Fielding and his wonderful, outlandish, unexpected humor of the Mighty Boosh. And then, of course, who
Mm.
he is as a person. He's, endlessly creative and playful and imaginative. Just to be around him, you kind of pick up on that energy. And the later scenes in the show, I don't want to give too much away, but
Right.
they obviously have a kind of connection, and so that was wonderful to play around with how they're attracted to one another and away from.
Mm. Amazing. March 1st, Apple TV Plus. I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. This was great.
Thanks so much for your time, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for enjoying
Thank
the
you.
show.
Thank you. Have a great day.